All right. Well, hello, Scatz.
Hello.
So just to basically give everyone a general idea of who you are, within the Pokken community, you host your own local in Georgia. You are also the TO Gwinnett Brawl.
Yes.
You were also inadvertently an assistant TO for Final Round back in March. You
Yes, we
are
can call
known
it that.
to be one of the... Yeah, we can call it that. We can talk about that later. You are consistently streaming roughly on Fridays or so? Is that fair for me to say?
Yes. I like to call it TGIP. Thank goodness it's Pokken.
Ah, okay.
Just a nice little spinoff.
Has that been trending lately? Because I just realized that you did it this weekend. I wasn't sure if that's been a thing.
No, I started it this weekend, but that's pretty much it.
Ah, okay. All right. You are a Twitch affiliate too, are you not?
I am.
Okay.
Twitch affiliate when they first introduced the program, but I didn't actually join the program until much recently, just due to personal reasons.
All right. So I also have known that you are getting quite a number of subs to the point where you are even getting Twitch emote slots.
Yes.
That's a work in progress, I believe, right?
It is. Huge props to Pokken community itself. Most of the subs, a couple friends that I've had from Smash community beforehand, but most of the half is Pokken community. And
Nice.
I mean, like, I didn't think I would get that many subs so quickly after doing Twitch affiliate, but I mean, like, the support is real. So I'm just happy that people are willing to support that way.
Yeah, given community size to Twitch viewer ratio, Pokken is definitely up there in terms of how often we view things. Like not even on an event standpoint. We just watch our own streamers
Yeah.
just whenever we can, really, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter when it is. It's just as soon as there's a Pokken stream, a lot of people are trying to watch it just to get their feeling.
Also, on top of all of that, you have quite an envious competitive streak in Pokken for 2017. Given your role as TO and streamer, you also have competed in Final Round, competed and won MomoCon, and you have gotten top 16 in CEO 17. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So before I actually talk about the TO stuff, even though that's basically what I really want to focus on, I do want to talk about competing because I have signs from you that you are more interested in participating in Final Boss than World Championships this year. Can you elaborate on this?
One of the things that I've always been about is support of the community in itself. More so the community than the actual company. There's nothing against the company. It's just that I find due to the first season that the handful of issues that occurred kind of put a sour taste into my mouth.
So would you say that it's mostly a transparency issue, or do you want even more of a connection between TPCI, CCPI?
I can say it's a little bit of both. I mean, we don't really, thanks to DC, we get a little bit more transparency, but it's still extremely rare. We never really get to know what's going on, and we're left trying to speculate and wonder how as a community we're going to step forward, especially when they get involved. So a lot of just questions that can't really be fulfilled until they actually get involved and start answering questions with us. Of course, like from what I've seen of season one, and I mean, this could be different for the future seasons, just the inexperience between FGC, Pokemon Company, they're much more experienced working with TGC and VGC. But Pokemon Tournament it's a fighting game, so things are way different when trying to handle that type of game.
I see your point, but wouldn't this be more or less on the tournament organization standpoint? Because I can still see Pokemon International having experience in being able to market their competitions, able to set up circuits or collaborate with people to set up circuits. Because you have people in the TCG community where we have established leagues where it's not them directly running it, but it's people interested in running tournaments for them as registered events for the whole circuit.
So that is the case for events such as CEO and Evo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there were a lot of these smaller events and much more Pokemon focused, I should say.
Yeah.
I mean, you got, of course, nationals and world championships. That's the Pokemon Company themselves directly. But then you have some of the other small tournaments. Take STLS for example.
Okay.
One tournament I'd never heard of before, and it seemed like it was the first time it was being done. It seemed like it was pretty much Pokemon focused, but it wasn't actually ran by Pokemon Company themselves. It was ran by another team that was hosting the event. While the TOs were great, the rules that they were given were definitely questionable things that don't really happen in the FGC world.
Okay.
An example, I mean, like having to just deal with Swiss and then go right into double elimination.
Ah, yes.
For tournament standards that we've dealt with, we've had the whole debacle of dealing with round robin into bracket. Now you see, to this day, we just do double elimination, whether it's in pools or in bracket. And that's just through experimentation, learning, time efficiency, and really just getting rid of collusion and bracket manipulation.
Yeah, I can agree with the traditional format for VGC in general. So having said that, we can agree that there was some disconnect between how they have always ran their tournaments and how FGC ran their tournaments.
Yeah, definitely.
The TOs themselves, and particularly in the St. Louis, because this is the biggest discrepancy. The St. Louis back last year just received directions saying, run the tournament this way, which obviously is not the way we normally would run a Pokken tournament bracket.
Yeah.
Okay, because obviously we can talk about the problem. That's the easy part. The more interesting part is obviously we have DC as one bridge. As you mentioned, we've removed some of the transparency. How would you go around basically making TPCI more aware of what the community wants as a whole? If, and this is big, if the community does have a solid consensus of what they want from this large corporation.
I'm thinking about it right now and probably at this current time, I wouldn't really be able to give a straight answer. Not without some definite loopholes or just issues within the solution itself. But of course, one of the biggest memes, and I think a lot of other big companies have started doing this or have been doing this, is using their own Twitter account just to ask a simple question for the community and get answers on what exactly is happening. I mean, we've seen after 2016 Worlds, Project Synergy that has happened. I don't know if a lot of people know about it, but everybody's sending actual mail to the Pokemon Company about why they want season 2 and everything. If you just think about how if they were to ask, hey, what would you like to see of season 2? And they asked that on Twitter. Of course, we got some Twitter fiends in the Pokken community. So as soon as that's posted, everybody's going to basically be jumping on that question and answering it.
Absolutely, yes.
So just having something like that helps sort of get the Pokken community's wants and needs out of the company itself. As for the transparency, that would be something that has to be figured out, because of course there's only so much that they can say. I mean, of course, contracts wise, I don't know the specifics, but that would definitely be something that has to be talked about and worked on much more.
Yeah. Well, here's the reality. They know for a fact that we're not as large a community as VGC or TCG. And just from a business perspective, it would not make sense for them to invest as much in us as they do their other 2 circuits.
That I agree with. I think season 1, for how much they invested, was pretty insane.
I agree. I think season 1 was more or less a godsend as opposed to what we really should deserve. I think season 2 is personally, as I believe it was slightly on the opposite side of the spectrum, but it was still something. But let's say they decide that after 2017's Worlds, they have the opinion of, since DX is coming out, since there's a Switch port, since the popularity of this game is going to go back up, and they decide that they want to invest more. Which is
phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. But which would you find to be more valuable in this case? Would you find the sheer amount of funding that they provided in Season 1 to be more valuable? Or would you rather them spend more time and effort trying to push more awareness onto fewer events? Assuming it's assuming it's like option A or option B, and they can't invest in both.
That's a real good question.
The real question I'm really presenting to you is, do you think we as a community can raise enough awareness if we have like a very similar situation to Season 1, where we have 4+ events over the entire US circuit?
I think I actually think maybe that route would be much better, having the smaller events but much more advertisement and awareness to have the community push for that and get the exposure it needs. I guess maybe it could also be a different mentality for me, considering that I came from having super grassroots communities and having to work for a lot of it. But I think one of the biggest things that the Pokemon Company can really take advantage of is the fact that some of these events are already established within the FGC, and then due to crossplay for a lot of other games, I mean, people got Street Fighter as their main game, Injustice, Marvel, Smash, you name it, and then you make just a tournament that's only Pokemon or Pokken. It's gonna be extremely hard to entice a person to not go to one of the events that they've probably been going to for years now, just for one event over their main game. And that's where I think it could be way more beneficial for us, just to have that aspect of just take DTN for instance. That happened today, and there were players that I've never even seen of, but their names are more familiar probably in other FGC communities. And that crossplay is important to really recognize and then be able to handle efficiently to make the scene grow, to then become more important in the long run.
Your case is more or less, from what I hear, is if more events for potentially Season 3, no Seattle Regionals, no St. Louis, no US Nats, push it to actual FGC tournaments for this new circuit.
Yes.
Okay. I agree with that concept, really. Yeah,
because I think it helps them on many more aspects. It allows them to advertise. It allows them to instead of be on the front end setting up the events, it puts them more on the back end, where then they can advertise, they can support. They don't have the nuisance of setting everything up and make sure everything is running the way they need it to be. They can just let the tournament from the FGC handle that. And from there, I mean, like, players go out, they support it, and both sides end up getting a beneficial factor from it. And overall, that just helps that helps both parties, in my opinion, much more than just being from Pokemon Company itself, at least for right now.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate for you, because then suppose I am someone from TCPI and I'm being pitched this sort of plan where we reestablish all the events to already known VGC events. Then the question becomes, well, understandably, yes, VGC will be able to host Pokken and the TOs will have experience there. But the main demographic of VGC is near or at or pretty much around the adult age. And I am very certain that they will still want to run a seniors division circuit for Pokken if it comes out, because that is where they will aim the game's selling point. So, putting that into consideration, there might be concern that wherever they're going to host, instead of where they've hosted in 2016, that these new locations, these new venues where they host, let's just say, rowdy fighting gamers, might not be the best setting for this younger age group that they're targeting. How would you address this?
Yeah. So, funny enough, I actually thought about that when I think I was discussing it with a couple people back last year. I actually don't think senior division has to move anywhere. I think it's just the masters division that can work with the FGC. But the seniors division, the parents has to take them to these locations. So it's not like they can have the chances, well, not too many chances, I won't say the chance, to really travel as often as how an adult will be able to. They have to first get the approval from parents. The parents have to have the time off just to make sure that everything's clear for their child just to enter the XYZ tournament. And with Pokemon focused events from TPCI, I think that's actually a great spot because the mentality is different there. And before they even get the chance to move over into the Masters division, they're now the main focus from TPC, outside of the Masters being the focus.
That's an interesting logistics point. I am not quite as confident that TCPI and PR would be totally okay with going, we'll just host all the seniors divisions where we feel like they should be, along with all the other Pokemon events, because while that makes sense, that would mean it would constitute probably twice as many events they need to take care of. It would certainly be way more of an investment for them to handle and organize and communicate with these many events.
Well, now, are you saying the same amount of senior division tournaments as well as Masters division tournaments?
Certainly, that we're talking about CEO, Nats. I'm not sure if St. Louis had a seniors division for Pokken. Actually, I don't know. Do you? You were there.
I wasn't at Nats. I was just at CEO. So
no, STLS.
Oh, okay. See, the biggest thing that I really felt was that at STLS, the senior divisions didn't really get that much of any exposure.
Okay, but it did exist.
It did exist. But it was almost just kind of like, hey, we're here and we're in this corner. It was almost like the FGC anime kind of thing. It was just like, oh, you guys are here. Mm-hmm. And then you don't really get to know anything about it until it's like near grand finals.
Okay.
And to me, I was like, that's injustice, because a lot of people were looking forward to a lot of Masters divisions. And for at least those kids, that impact matters. So I would rather PC take charge of at least that, so that then it gives better exposure to senior division. It's not necessarily that senior division and master division has to have the same amount of events. Masters division is just really communication with however many events they want to host or work together with for the circuit. Whereas at least with the seniors division, they can be much more direct in choosing where they want to go without having to go to a lot of other events just to get anything done, I guess I should say. Because, I mean, of course, you're going to have US Nats. If you choose to CEO or I'll just throw it out there, Seattle Regionals,
Yeah.
And then I mean, like you could probably throw like one or two more events, and then for seniors, you're kind of good to go. At least with at least consideration to parents taking the time off and traveling as well.
Okay. So, given this argument of yours, shouldn't we be pitching this to them? Shouldn't this be the basic case of why don't you let us handle organizing these events? Like, you don't have to put such a firm reign over the Masters division, so you can focus more on Seniors division.
I would love to, and that was the stopping point that I got stuck at last year, because we didn't really have any point of contact to talk to at least get any pitching done or anything like that. And since I only got to STLS and CEO, there wasn't any people I could talk to about it. I mean, I didn't go to Worlds last year, and we got wind that Alistair and a handful of others talked to a couple important people, and they got into a meeting and it had some serious business talk. I mean, like, if I was there, I could have at least had a chance to pitch it. But
but my point is that you're not there. Was someone representing your idea? Like,
no.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It's been a minute, so I don't even remember all the details. But I probably dropped the ball on that one. So that was something I could have told someone else the plan, or at least give the pitch. So, but
because
I mean,
this is a proposed solution. This is a proposed solution to a very big problem that I feel like, aside from me and perhaps some other individuals, no one really knows about your proposed idea for this. What should we do for next season of Pokken tournament?
No.
Okay.
This was actually something I've definitely been thinking about and trying to make sure that I correct as much as possible before presenting. Mostly because once as I present it, I want it to be as airtight as possible, and at least that way, if they were to have any pushback on it or any questions, then I can answer it with, or whoever is in charge of it in terms of presenting can answer it with as much confidence, so that we could get at least some hope of it happening.
I think you're missing my point, because when I say them or the others, I'm not actually referring to the staff or the people of TCP. I'm actually referring to our inner Pokken community that we are a part of. Yes, because I don't think there's awareness of this idea of yours. I have just heard about this idea from you today.
No, I haven't really talked to it against much of anybody from within the Pokken community. I don't even think I don't even think that many people even are aware of such an issue with the seasons and the community connected with the company itself.
My stance all of 2017 was essentially, I am not concerned whether there's going to be a circuit. I'm not concerned at all, because I do feel like I care more about Pokken being hosted at FGC tournaments. Your perspective seems to be more along the lines of, there's not really any harm, because if TCPI does support it, it's still support. That seems to be a more involved perspective with them as a company, whereas I was way more aloof about it. And I'm under the impression the community follows the same aloof pattern of, it's okay if we don't get season 2. Some of us might care and feel like the game is dead, but some of us don't really care. We're just going to attend all the events that are hosting Pokken.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think you should bring this up with the community, perhaps to say,
I do.
Okay.
I was a little skeptical at first. I mean, I can admit, even if I had my doubts that we were going to get a Switch version,
Shout outs to every single person saying that the Switch port was never coming.
I mean, like, I tried to at least stay optimistic, but it definitely kind of like put a dampening on what kind of plans, ideas that I had. So at first I was like, maybe I should wait until something big happens before I present this idea. Regardless, now with the Switch coming out September 22nd, I definitely do want to bring up the idea and propose it to at least see what kind of movement we can get with the company and the community itself.
All right, fair. That makes sense to me. For the time being, we are not going to get much marketing in terms of the game itself. Of course, DX is going to be a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is more than enough trailers going around about the Decidueye, Pokken Tournament DX. That's going to be big. There is not enough marketing whatsoever onto the current other events of GTX, Final Boss, the Fall Classic. Like, there's not enough awareness over those aspects. And that's going to continue being a thing regardless of whether DX comes out or not. What do you think we need to do as a community in general just to say, we exist as a community, you should attend our events? Because I ask this right now because I've recently just had someone tell me he was not aware that DTN was a thing today. And I had to hand him the calendar from Pokken Arena for him to know about it. And this is constantly a thing where people like Pokken Tournament, but they don't watch it, not even because they don't feel like watching, but because they're not even aware that these events exist.
That's a tough one. I mean, well, I'll start with at least the simple routes.
Sure.
I think due to us moving to a new site, at first being PokkenArena.com. It was what it is now. And before we had an Envision Zone hosted Pokken Arena boards. There's still confusion once you go into Google search and you want to type in Pokken Arena. I think it's slowly getting fixed now, but that was one issue beforehand. You didn't have a direct link to just that site. The Pokken Arena account itself, it could easily be just like Smashboard's account, and that's Smashboard's, I guess, SRK forums for those who are at least connected to Smash or the FGC. Using that Twitter account just to at least post it and be like, hey, there's this tournament happening on this day, da da da. I don't often get to see that account used to at least mention when a stream is happening or when there's an event coming up or even create it. It's just kind of like the account's there. You also have Burnside. Like Burnside is basically what the website's account is doing. It's weird.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. For what the Twitter account is supposed to be, it is severely lacking in terms of be a centralized location of news on the Twitter environment.
Yeah. I'm not I'm not sure if because I know, I think the host has said that he had a couple issues with his computer, so he's been out of communication for a few days.
Is this person aware that you can have multiple people take over a shared account? Is the account not shared? Is the account not?
I'm not sure if it actually is shared. So
I apologize. I'm taking out my frustration on you.
Yeah, it's something that's just the ball was dropped. I'm even going to take up on something like that because I'm a global mod on the Pokken Arena site. So it's just something that just needs to be cleaned up, and we need to handle organized way better, just so that the account itself and the site can be much more to be the main source for wherever you need your Pokken news, your Pokken dates, Pokken count, Pokken events, whatever. That needs to be the place to go. No one else.
You will be hearing from me about this very topic probably tomorrow. I'll find out.
I look forward to it.
Excellent. Final boss in October. You actually, have you registered?
I have not.
Are you going to register?
I am working on it. I've looked at I have looked at some flights. I have looked at some hotels.
Okay.
But nothing has been confirmed as of yet.
All right.
So that's about as much as I could give.
Is there a reason why Final Boss and not, say, the Fall Classic?
Well, there is nothing saying that. Because what I did not also tell anybody was that I moved some dates around.
Oh.
So TFC is a possibility. I know North Carolina has definitely been asking me to come out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, shout outs to Char and his dad. They've both driven about 4 hours just to come to Gwinnett Brawl almost every month this summer.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Which is crazy.
That's certainly one way to spend your summer vacation. That is for sure.
I know. So major props to them. They're going to Worlds, what, about 2 weeks from now? 3 weeks?
Woo! All right.
Yeah.
2 weeks is 2 weeks is roughly the same right now.
So, I mean, like, Char's dad is definitely giving like huge amounts of support for his son. So I give a lot of respect about that. Because he's following what he truly enjoys. But anyways, I'm going off topic on that. I am definitely looking at TFC and Final Boss, trying to get dates settled, trying to make sure that financially I'm not pulling out a couple hairs. I mean, I got the money. That's not the issue, but anything that's coming out of my bank account, I'm still pulling hairs out.
I have a feeling that the only person who simply cannot afford all the events he wants to attend has to be Ouroboros at this point in time.
Yeah.
He's pretty much the only one. Yes. Okay.
It still amazes me to how many events he can go to. I've not asked the question before. But last year, it completely amazed me how many events he went to. And then, like, we get to play and everything, and I'm like, all right, cool. So you gonna show up to the monthly? He's like, I can't, I'm broke. I'm like, what? What? My mind's blown. How? How'd you go to the events?
Oh, that's amazing.
I don't know how he makes it out to so many, but props to him. So.
Okay. So, on that note, then, you have potentially up to 2 events for the next few months. From what I can tell, yes.
That's correct.
I assume GTX is not a possibility whatsoever. It's just way too far.
Too far.
And it's also
too much money.
Like September. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, Scatz, I have a very important question to ask you.
Okay.
Why are you then the TO of SCR 2017 Pokken Tournament DX?
I am?
I thought you were.
This is news to me. Hold on, let me go check my email real quick. I don't think I got an email from Low. Huh? Hold up.
Oh, this probably came out of my ass then. I'm sorry.
Well, I got better news on there, but that's not this interview related. No, I'm not the TO for SCR. I've been told that. So.
Oh, whoops. Speaking of you being a host, how is it that you are able to host both a local scene and Gwinnett Brawl. I guess no, take it back. You TO Gwinnett Brawl. You're not the full host of the venue.
Yeah.
Like, how is this not that draining on you, given the fact that you also have a full time? You spend roughly 1 week streaming, 1 day a week streaming, and you also prepare yourself for events every couple months. Because, from my perspective, this is exhausting.
So this goes back to before Pokken even became a thing. This is back into my Smash career. So I think it's best if I go into a little bit of history on that. So before I even got into any TOing, I was just completely a regular player, college player, 3.5 hours away trying to make it to the top of the mountain, figuratively. And then this wonderful game came out. Some people know it as Voldemort. Some people know it as Retarded Melee. Some people know it as Project M. And when it first came through, it was huge here in Georgia. And I was like, all right, cool. This is a game I can get back into, competitive gaming. This is going to be really good. Went to a tournament that was hosted, and I walk in there, and then you know when you get that gut feeling when you walk into a venue and you just know everything's going to go wrong? Like you just have that feeling. It's just like, this is going to be a terrible day.
I hate that feeling so much. It's because you're like, I've just started the day. I just got here.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I walk in there, and it's nothing what I expect. And I'm just like, well, maybe there's some things to look forward to. So let's go ahead and see what's going on. Go up there. It gets a little bit worse. Butterflies start turning in the stomach, and I fast forward a little bit. Tournament's already started. I'm like, all right, cool. So how's the tournament going? We're still making brackets. Excuse me? Huh? Okay. So at that point, I actually, that tournament, that was a huge headache for the TOs that were running it, and for their expense. I mean, they were new to the TO game itself. I at least was working with a couple of Melee friends that I had back in like 2007, 2008. And I got some experience just through small events. I literally took over that one event and ran that entire event from beginning to finish with all the constraints that I had. And space constraints. People couldn't actually spectate because it was upstairs in a super small room. There was only a finite amount of setups. It was just a headache all around. So after I got that tournament done, the whole community was just basically like, yo, Scatz, so when's the next tournament? Wait, what? I'm not a TO. Guys, no, you can't put this on me. Don't do this. I just want to be a player. I ended up basically becoming the main face for Georgia Pokken, Georgia PM, to run and host tournaments. So I've done way worse to whereas I've actually streamed, entered the tournament, and TO'd all at the same time. That is, I met the face of death at that moment. That was when I realized that there was nothing that would ever cause me to do all three things at once again. And from there, I just basically stayed as a TO for PM as well as trying to be a player. Searching around for places to host events, doing that. And that was pretty. After a while, it gets pretty easy. You don't have to really worry about too much as long as you have a couple people who would just be like, let me report this call out this name, bam, you're done. All the work comes into setting it up, and then once as it's done, getting it running and making sure that the time is consistently quick And then there came a point when I decided to run my own, not even local, regional. I truly met what felt like, or I got a very good taste of what it meant of how much stress big league TOs deal with, and just not even the course of the event itself, just like 30 minutes. Those 30 minutes and then onward were some of the most draining moments that I ever had, because having to put out fires that happen all over the place, brackets starting to slow down. I still entered events as well, and having to deal with people disappearing between matches and then delaying the brackets further, having to deal with any other issues such as what do we do with the food, or what do we do with this ruling, this happened in this match. It basically that tore my mind apart, and I gained lots of experience, but in terms of running anything that's bigger than a local, I can basically do that on free time at that point. It's way easier to handle.
Huh. So the narrative I essentially heard was, I've dealt with worse, so I can just do what I am doing right now with Pokken and not, I guess, feel as overwhelmed about this? Is this the best way to interpret what you just told me?
Yeah, that's the TLDR of it.
Okay. What made you go along with the fact that people just want you to TO, whereas you actually just desire to only be a competitive player? Because you could have just said, no, I don't feel like hosting more events or running more events. And yet here you are, doing exactly that, just as you have done in the past.
I care.
Are you going to tell me that you volunteered to be TO of Gwinnett Brawl Pokken Tournament bracket? Did you tell the guy?
I could give it to someone. I didn't tell the guy. Okay. He came to me about it and asked if I could run because they were overworked. Gwinnett Brawl runs currently, I think, almost like 8 games in a day, and it's ran by 3 people. So when they added in Pokken, they wanted me to just run it so that they could focus on all the other games. There is, I think, one other. It might be 2. Well, either which way, it's definitely one other person that could definitely run it. But the problem is that he's also in other games. I'm just Pokken only. And to have to deal with that issue of whereas you get pulled because you got to play a match, and then you get pulled because you have to TO an event, that's more headaches than necessary. And I was just like, you know what? I've already done it before. This is not regional status. My mind won't turn into a raisin after finishing Gwinnett Brawl. We'll just go ahead and do this. I can at least tell people just how to input these scores whenever I'm actually playing or busy. It shouldn't be no problem. So it's like I've still stuck with the volunteer thing. I've just haven't given it up, really.
Everything clicked on my head now. Like, I understand your entire perspective of Pokken tournament scene at this point in time. You are in this situation, Scatz.
I am stuck.
You are in this situation. No. Hear me out. You're in this situation where the event organizer says, I'm interested in running Pokken tournaments, but I don't have resources for it. Do you want to do this for me? And you say, of course, being the person who loves Pokken tournaments, yes, I will, for now, run the event on the Pokken side for you. And this falls in line with the entire perspective of the Pokken community running at VGC tournaments for TCPI Masters Division. In fact, let's just skip all the middleman. Let's just say, right now, TCPI, if you're listening, let this man Scatz right here, let him run all your tournaments for you.
Oh Lord! Please, no heart attacks.
This man will get the job done for you.
No heart attacks, dude. Like to many credits. I've been presented with running other places such as Summer Jam, Fall Classic, and all that. I've respectively declined those offers.
I can't blame you.
And we have Fumu, man. Fumu. I was definitely skeptical when things were first starting off, particularly final round. But getting to oversee and see him actually learn how to handle the bigger events, regional, national status, I was more than confident to just take the backside, stay behind the scenes, and just basically continue overseeing while I focus on what I really want to do, which is competitive. Keep
Absolutely.
playing.
You can take a learning workhorse like Fubu, and if he wants to get the job done, he will get that job done.
Yeah.
No problem.
I mean, like, we've
not to say he'll be happy about it.
I've seen his faces sometimes. It's definitely not a happy camper when things go awry.
Absolutely not.
We've definitely talked beforehand when he was still understanding of how a lot of the tournament organizing is handled, and he has a very good grasp now. So I've always stood the case. If you need my help, let me know, because as a competitor, I'm not going to be paying attention to how the event is going to run until it becomes a distracting issue for its players as well.
That's fair. I think that pretty much covers up the global, or I guess the national aspect of everything. So let's talk about local. How has your local been doing? I haven't really heard much about, because you haven't been streaming the local as far as I am aware.
Last month due to Evo and due to the venue, make sure I get that right, because I know Fang is going to get mad at me. Due to the venue having an event booked on actually yesterday, because yesterday was the official Gwinnett Brawl event for the FGC side, they had to split up the events. So we had Nintendo related Gwinnett Brawl happened during Evo weekend. And basically that was kind of just like a relaxation weekend. Streamers didn't really come out. We just kind of chilled and played for a little while, and that was it. We still had a tournament, but it was nothing serious. So that's the only. This month is the only month in which we didn't have it streamed. Our guy Typo House, he always comes out early just to make sure we get our stuff streamed. Everything is going to be back to normal next month, so it's great that we won't be dealing with that again, hopefully. But for the most part, we've just been kind of quiet. Some of our crossover players are focusing on Smash again, and then some are just waiting for DX to come out, which is, I mean, it's to be expected at this point.
Yeah, so what you're saying is essentially you're just going to remain mostly chill local until DX comes out.
Yeah, not many people are really going to be able to see just how much I really try and push for people to at least try the game and get a chance to play it, not in a tournament perspective, but at least just to play it and experience the game. I have probably about like 10 to 15 people lined up that were like, yeah, I'll give Pokken a try. We'll see how it goes. It sounds like it's an interesting game due to the way you pitch the game towards me, is quote unquote what they say. So currently right now, we probably get like 12 to 14-ish of the dedicated players that come out. And
those are some pretty good numbers for local scenes.
Yeah. I mean, like, and it's granted that a handful of the other players that did frequent Gwinnett Brawl are currently dealing with personal issues. Astro Wolf, I mean, he's just recently had another kid.
Another one?
Back in January. So like.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought.
No.
You concerned me for a moment. I was like, wait a second. He had one after final round 2? What?
No. But basically, it's like final round was basically like his hurrah moment, and then it was like, all right, I gotta buckle down, man. There's nothing else. No. There's no other options I got. He's been gone for a little while. We've had another player, Blue Titan. He's only been able to show up here or there. I think we got another JUCO. Then there's Atlas, who's currently right now focusing on Smash. So we got a handful of players that will definitely come and play Pokken, but they're dealing with other stuff right now. So we can easily hit, including what may be the influx of new players in DX. We could probably hit like 30, just to get a rough perspective.
As a Pokken enthusiast, I am happy to hear that number. I have to ask you though, are you happy to hear that number, Scatz?
Yes and no. Yes, because we're still a small community and we're a new small community, new IP. We still have to build a lot of the foundation. So it's not like I can just not be happy at getting 30 people playing and then being like, oh, we should get Smash numbers and we should have 50 at least for our local. It's not realistic, especially considering how many games there are out there and how much competition it is between getting people enticed to play the game consistently. That's just a realistic factor that I wholeheartedly recognize and won't really contest to that. But of course, the other side of me is like, hey, we can always get more. Let me go peck at a couple of the FGC folks. Do some trash talking to a couple of my Marvel players. See if they get to play the game. See what kind of hands I can get on them, so that then they can join. Hopefully, I would love to see a monthly we get like 50 people, because we don't really do any weeklies, which is way different compared to a lot of other scenes.
So what's your pitching strategy? How are you going to get players into the scene when the DX comes out? It's easy. I'm going to go over to the Marvel scene over there. I'm going to trash talk the F out of them.
Oh, dude. So, okay. So I think it was May when we did it. We had a pizza event. I think it was 3 of us that basically all paid for it. But we pitched all together to get 20 boxes of pizza.
I saw numerous Twitter pictures of this.
Stacked them all right next to the Pokken area. In a nice packed monthly full of gamers. And then you have that one person, hey, can I get a slice? And the only answer that you give, yeah, if you play some Pokken. It's like, can I buy the slice? I'm sorry, but we're obligated to not give you a sales price for this pizza. It is only a sales price for Pokken. So it was named Pizza for Pokken because legally we couldn't sell it due to what the host says, but you could get it by playing Pokken. Simple enough, right? Well, there were and because back in my college days, I got a couple friends with the Marvel community, Street Fighter, and all that. I just go over there and they're all like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna go play some Pokken over there. I'm gonna get some free pizza." I was like, "Yeah, you can come play some pizza. You can come play some Pokken, get some pizza." If you get good, then you can beat some of us, or you can just get mopped and go back over to Marvel. Make a choice, fam. He's like, oh, okay, I hear you. So when you gonna come over to Marvel and come beat us up? And I was like, I'm game to play, but where's your half? Need you to come play some Pokken. So I'm just ready to just have some fun trash talk with a handful of people. With Smash, it's just mostly people who are looking to have improvement, and then they find a plateau. I've taught a handful of players. MVG Scat is one of them. He's definitely gotten a lot of advice from me back in the days before he's made it huge. And then just a handful of other players that are still working on their game. Whenever they run into any walls per se, I am like, hey, maybe you should try another game for short-term measures just to get a different perspective on what you're struggling with. Because playing one game is not necessarily the answer of fixing all your issues. The diversity that other games provide is a very valuable source to becoming a strong player, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good sales pitch right there.
Nobody got to see this. I'm gonna name drop Scatz real quick. So when he actually got to try Pokken, the very first habit that he had, well, the first two.
I'm going to preface this right now. I'm probably going to like mention him and say, "Yo, look, your boy Scatz just talked about you in this video."
I'm perfectly fine with that because he still hasn't came out like I told him to.
Oh, okay.
I said it beforehand. I told them back at Gwinnett Brawl, I would bet $10 that they have not tried Pokken in some form. I made it like an agreement for them to show up somewhere so that they can learn the game a little bit more in detail. I'd probably be about $100 in with all the people that I've talked to.
Well then.
But so, okay, his first two habits, right off the bat, once he started playing Pokken. The first one, he was trying to grab everything that hit but guard. That's a very Smash habit. It's a very easily developed one. And then the second one was that he was trying to jump everything. Jump happy. So, and it's like, it's funny seeing it from Pokken's perspective or any other game's perspective and being like, hey, this is bad. But then you go to Smash and you're like, man, I just get to do this for free. I didn't even know I had this kind of habit in my game.
What the heck? What are safe moves? Like, do those exist on Shield?
What is this frame data you speak of? We don't have that. But it just that example in itself, you would have probably never knew that you've had those kind of habits in whichever game that you play. But then you play a different game and then it's like, hey, don't do this. This is bad. And to that's an eye opener. That shows just exactly as like, hey, I got that much more I need to learn. I need to tighten up my game and become an actual player, a top player. If you're not trying to achieve that status and you're not seeing those habits, then what are you doing?
Would you say for professional players who decide to take this game more seriously than most casuals, is becoming a top player the only true objective when it comes to fighting games?
Not at all. I'll take Smash, for instance, because
Sure.
they currently don't really have that much support to begin with. Or at least the company support. They don't have it. They don't really have that. But they're still very much afloat due to the community itself. Whether you decide to take the game seriously, whichever level of skill you prefer to be at is your decision in that aspect. The greatest thing that comes from you actually deciding to enter tournaments is the fact that if you're willing to accept going 0-2, 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, whichever, and you're just doing it you're supporting the game because you enjoy the game, that's a bigger accomplishment. Or I won't say that. It's as big an accomplishment, in my opinion, with a player becoming a top player. And the reason why is because those people who enter the tournament because they love the game and are willing to accept that there are numerous events where they will still be struggling to get a positive record are ones that allow top players to shine. It's a weird aspect, but
Okay.
Being on both sides now has shown just how much appreciation I can give for those players who just enter and just play, knowing that they're going to be that one guy who goes negative in terms of score, in terms of win losses.
Yeah, definitely, and they definitely do make up the bulk of any competitive scene.
Yep. So it's like, I just props to everybody who's even in the community as it is right now and still enter. I adore that.
Okay, Scatz, I have one last question for you, and this is from me as a TO. I am aware that you are a very experienced TO who has essentially, for the most part, hosted events that are either large or has run alongside other concurrently running games.
Correct.
What would you say to TOs such as me, such as Bellsworth of Utah, such as Icy Soapy of Tucson, Arizona, whose interview I know for a fact you have listened to? For us who host...
Yes.
Well, what's the laugh for? What's the last for us, guys?
Oh, man. If only I had the time memorized in my head.
All right.
I think it was 45 minutes in.
Probably 50, but I think I know what you're talking about. Your reputation is safe. Don't worry about it. All right. To us TOs who host pretty much in our apartment or house or wherever we live in, we host these poverty scenes where essentially we just have a setup. We occasionally have stream setups too.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever shows up for Pokken plays Pokken, and that's that. What would you say to people like us, given, say, we reach out to you and ask, Scatz, I want to grow this scene. I want to find a way to have more people in my local area play Pokken. What sort of advice would you tell them?
First of all, we gotta already accept that growing from what I like to call that is the ultimate grassroots type of event. Because my first event was at, you won't know it, but Melee, Full Metal's house, like probably a 30-man local in just a basement. But know that the road to growing a scene is going to be difficult, but you have to stay vigilant.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to become a point where it will seem like it's a tireless job, just because you have to be persistent to people who are on the fence. Or if there's people who are thinking about it, but they're leaning much more on a secondary side, you have to be able to pitch why you should come out and give it a try, however many times they decide to come to the events. Those kind of things makes it difficult because people will bring up numerous reasons why they don't want to do it. Or you have to chase them down, which I know a lot of people hate doing that. I hate doing that. I still chase people down to this day just to get them to try the game. Or if they've been on the fence and they say, okay, cool, I'm gonna try it. And I have to chase them down just to make sure that they try it. If you're doing it at an apartment or your house, it's fine until lack of space becomes an issue. Once that becomes an issue, then you're going to have to find a place that will make it as, I'm not going to say as easy as possible, but makes it doable for the players within the vicinity to be able to come out to the events. Now, this also brings up a huge question of whether it should remain as a weekly, should be a bi-weekly, or even a monthly. Because at that point, you have to consider just how much money people spend to go to these events and how much they're willing to come out to do that. It's something that definitely has to be continuously talked about with each player, just to get an idea of like what they're looking for and how they want to support it. And the last thing I would probably say, if you have people that want to just play and they want to get the experience, consider switching up how you run brackets.
Okay.
I've done a special type of method that I've done for brackets back when I was doing PM events. I found this. I think some people might know him. Inferno Omni. I think he posted the idea of it. I decided to try it out. It's called multi-round robin. Let's just say, for instance, you have about 8 people come to your event. If you wanted to get as much high pressure practice time, you could easily do 2 round robins where you have 2 pools, 4 people each, top 2 advance, and then you can have the 4 people who have advanced play each other for the money. The people who didn't advance get to have another round robin for amateur money, probably like $2 or something like that. It was a successful thing that I got when I was doing it, and I probably will be considering doing it again if we get a couple of locals over here in Georgia, just so that it gives people the experience or the practice that they want without just entering a tournament, going 0-2, and then just feeling devastated and wanting to go home. Because at that point, it's kind of like, I'm not worried about going 0-2. If I do bad, I'm still in this amateur bracket, and then I get to practice with people who are closer to my skill level. You go from playing potentially just 2 matches and being done for the night to playing 8 matches. That's a big deal for a lot of the players who are just looking to play.
I see. Well, thank you so much for your wisdom, Scatz. I appreciated a lot of the ideas you had, particularly for TCPI, and I will most definitely follow up on that one way or another.
Nope. No problem. I appreciate being on here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again, Scatz. I'll see you later.
All right, take care.